All right. Thanks so much for joining us for another edition of our open mic program. We do have Congressman French Hill with us. And Congressman, my favorite time of the month is when we get to hand out an award. And you have brought something back a lot of people may not even realize, that the Golden Fleece Award was something years ago. And I remember when you brought it up, said, this is something that's needed. And it's hard to believe you could give this away every month since you've been in office, just about.
Exactly. And it's absolutely not hard to find good candidates. Golden Fleece Award, I was inspired when I got to Congress to bring it back. It was a regular by a former Senator, Bill Proxmire, Democrat from Wisconsin. He was always on the government's back for wasting money. And so I was proud to bring back the Golden Fleece. And this month, there's a drum roll in the background, it's going to CMS, Medicaid, because, and this is so aggravating to all of our citizens over 65 years old, they're failing to give permission, Medicare Advantage recipients, to get their health services provided. The Inspector General there found that almost 20% of claims were denied under pre-authorization, prior authorization. If you have to go surgery, you got to go get prior authorization. You know that drill. Well, CMS is denying about 20% of those claims, claiming, they lost records, they don't understand it, when in point of fact, it's pre-approved already. The claim has already met the coverage rules, or it had been previously approved. This is just literally a paperwork mistake that is about 1 out of 5 claims they handle wrong. And the estimate is, because of physicians having to redo the paperwork over and over again, that it's costing the economy about $31 billion. And of course, our fellow citizens are being denied maybe a potential surgery or cancer treatment that's essential. I mean, it might even cost them their life. So the Center for Medicare Services, CMS, gets the big award this year for their mishandling on prior authorizations under Medicare Advantage.
But no, we also need to talk about the Iran. There's been a lot of talk about Iran. This is something that really you're not seeing a whole lot of missiles and things going on from Iran. So that's a positive, really.
Well, it's a positive. Their force projection capability has been severely curtailed by U.S. military and Israeli military action. But they can still launch a drone, and they can still have some very small ships to do some mining. And they're still not coming to the peace table and satisfying Western demands that they give up their nuclear program and stop launching missiles at all their neighbors, including missiles that can reach Paris, France. Bob, I hear Democrats here in Washington say, this is Trump's war of choice. Trump's out of control. Trump's a warmonger. Trump's hurting the American people. The people who started this war are the Iranians 50 years ago, killing Americans routinely in clandestine operations, in direct military conflict like in Iraq and in Lebanon, in their proxies, Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, just murderous regime, exporting terror, launching ballistic missiles, stated that they're going to wipe Israel off the face of the earth, not following any diplomatic solution to ending the nuclear program like President Obama attempted. They just kept right on. No inspections, no stopping on ballistic missiles, selling drones and ballistic missiles to Russia so that they can kill Ukrainians. This is a war started by the Iranians that Donald Trump is trying to end once and for all after 4 decades of American leadership trying, is the way I look at it. And I don't want another North Korea. I don't want another rogue nation that's a terror state with a nuclear weapon. And so I support the president in trying to end Iran's ability to hurt Americans, including trying to kill officials right here in America. They've had assassination attempts right here against John Bolton, Mike Pompeo, and others.
When you look at the whole conflict, Israel still shooting missiles during the ceasefire. What do you think's going on there? I know that makes President Trump angry, makes all of us angry when you're in a ceasefire. Why are they going off a script?
Well, Israel tends to go off script. from time to time, and they've had since the 1970s and 1980s, an ongoing armed fight from Hezbollah, which is backed by Iran. They are set up in southern Lebanon, also in Syria. These are terrorists. They are shooting rockets into Israel as far south as like Haifa, the port city in Israel. They're attacking Israelis on a regular basis from the southern part of Lebanon, which is south of the Litani River there in Lebanon. And so from Netanyahu's point of view and Israel's point of view, this is to try to defend their own homeland from continued attacks from an Iranian proxy. But you're right. President Trump has asked him to stop launching attacks into Lebanon or into southern Syria while we are trying to settle this big peace agreement between Iran and the Gulf states and open the Strait of Hormuz, end their nuclear programs, stop their export of terrorism and ballistic missiles.
And now we also moving on with the other thing that I think is pretty amazing, the balanced budget amendment that you co-sponsored last month. Tell us about that.
Well, I support a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution because I don't believe that we'll have the discipline to have spending priorities, to negotiate with our interest here in this country about lowering our deficit spending. And so I was one of the group that persuaded Speaker Mike Johnson to put a balanced budget amendment on the floor of the House, and I was proud to vote for it. The last time we had that vote on the House floor was in the spring of 2018 when I persuaded then leader Kevin McCarthy to do the same, get our financial house in order. It's one of my biggest disappointments since I've been in Congress that we've made some progress, but not dramatic progress on that subject. And with interest rates at record highs due to the Joe Biden inflation, that means the cost of the national debt from our own interest charges is now really the largest component of the budget. Paying interest on our national debt exceeds the amount of last year's defense budget, for example. So this is a long-term challenge that we have, and that's why I was proud to support it, proud to vote for it.
Where do you see that coming? Do you think, because most states have the balanced budget amendment in their own constitution.
Yeah, well, that's true. We had a shot at a balanced budget amendment that lost by one vote several years ago, and so but we just have not gotten there. It's work we have to do. I support things like a commission to get Republicans and Democrats on the same page to vote for long-term reforms to some of our big spending programs. I think if you do it on a bipartisan basis, it'll stick. Last year, President Trump led changes on a portion of that by a much more disciplined process to work requirements on receiving Medicaid and having states double-check, triple-check their qualifications for people earning SNAP benefits. And that was the same approach that Bill Clinton took in the 1990s, and it can contribute to a much lower budget deficit. But we just have so much work to do. We have to start.
Well, we appreciate you taking time and updating us on what's going on in D.C. And I know that coming up, we'll be having recess for the 250th birthday of America. That's going to be pretty awesome.
So excited about the semi-quincentennial, and I hope every citizen gets a chance to get out and celebrate like John Adams recommended, with fireworks and music and parades. It'll be a great way to teach our kids about the freedom and the beauty of our country and how we've spent the last 25 decades defending that Constitution and that Declaration of Independence, and we're going to encourage them, the next generation, to do the same thing.
Well, thanks for joining us.
All the best. Thanks, Bob.